Thank you very much for having me and giving me a chance to share this music making and the thoughts that are embedded in the music. I have a few words just to introduce the piece, and then I'll read the English translation of the poem that I prepared before we go to the performance that Rami and I gave in March 2019, just before our temporary world-changing events. So in 1781, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe penned the poem Grenzen der Menschheit, Limitations of Humanity. Franz Schubert set it to music in 1821. The poem meditates on the distinction between mortal humans and immortal forces. Goethe uses the vocabulary that was popular in the day, drawing on ideas from pre-Christian pantheism and the Greek and Roman gods. Though a fascination with the ancient world and its pantheon of gods was in vogue in intellectual circles of the time, Goethe did not merely study the pre-Christian pantheon. In fact, he incorporated symbolic aspects of the ancient gods in his own synthesis of pantheism and an Enlightenment era scientific rationalism. In recital, I often sing the following work in a set with Schubert's other songs with Goethe poetry, Ganymede and Prometheus. In Ganymede, the poet celebrates a submissive union with the divine. In Prometheus, you go to the other end of the spectrum, the poet curses the gods as brokers of unjust power. In the following poem, which I will now read in the English translation, the poet sketches out a balanced view of the relationship between mortal and immortal experience. And here's the poem. When the primordial sacred Father with gentle hands from rolling clouds scatters blessed lightning over the earth, I kiss the outermost hem of his fabric, childlike wonder deep in my breast. For with the gods no human ought to be measured. If one hoists oneself upward and makes contact with the crown of stars, then insecure souls will find no traction, and one will become the toy of clouds and winds. Stand with secure, strong limbs upon the well-grounded, enduring earth, and do not overreach. Only with the oak and the vine compare oneself. What separates gods and humans? That many waves before them fluctuate in an eternal flow. The waves lift us, the waves swallow us, and we are submerged. A small ring encircles our lives, and many generations align in constant procession in the unending chain of existence. So now we'll experience the music that this inspired in Schubert with the performance from last March.
Andrew, thanks so much for that.
Thank you for having me again. A pleasure to
Yes.
share.
I don't know how familiar you are with our sort of interest in the ageless wisdom and the Alice Bailey teachings, but whatever, you certainly are coming from a wonderful place working with the power of sound and the spoken word in trying to reach out to people. Steve told me that you were originally very interested in political and ecological issues, but then you decided that working through the medium of music was your way of reaching out to people and developing more of a sensitive awareness of our responsibility to the earth and our environment and what could be more needed at these times.
Yeah, there are certainly ways in which I'm still very attached to activist ideas and changes that I want to see in the world. But I think when it comes to my music making, whether it's what I'm expressing in a piece like that was written 200 years ago, or in music that I'm making with composers and artists living today, it's more of a sense of, at this point, exploration, and that there needs to be a space for meditation on these themes and these relationships. And music is my way of kind of making the space and time for that to occur for people. So that is if there's a through thread of my music making these days, that's the purpose in it.
What struck me about that as well is it can actually be an even more enriching experience when you listen to music in a different language, because then you focus on the sounds that are conveying the actual message in the poem. And you really do get to feel the vibration, the tone, the quality, and the shapes of sound that are conveying that message. And I think it can connect even more, particularly with somebody like Goethe as well, and the message that he had.
Mm-hmm.
As you're probably aware, Goethe was a great source of inspiration for Rudolf Steiner.
Yeah.
It's Steiner's work is based heavily in areas of it anyway, on sound and light, and just generally he holds Goethe in such a high esteem. And there is something beautiful and mysterious that comes through Goethe's writings that certainly has relevance today. And so it's wonderful to hear you, putting it to music.
Thank you. It's a source of inspiration for me to be in contact with these thinkers from the past, and to get to bring their thoughts into the present and see, I guess, like you say, that it's relevant today, and that he kind of sketches out a framework for looking at and understanding the forces that are alive in the world today, and that were alive and at work at that time as well. So
thank you very much for your participation, and we hope you'll come back again and give us some more.
Likewise.